Hello, everybody. Welcome to another listen along. I'm your host, William, and today I'm joined by Greg with Cheekface. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
Cool, good. We can hear you. Great. So we're gonna listen to "Too Much to Ask," which is Cheekface's newest record, your third record. We have done two. Well, we've done one other of these where we listened to both Emphatically No and Therapy Island. So this is the second time I'm having Greg on for a listen along. So if you are interested in that kind of a thing, I do have all of the listen alongs, all of the episodes that I've done for this series up on the Second Glass Beach channel. That's the name of it, the Second Glass Beach channel. And there's a playlist that has all of the listen alongs that you can find. The one I did with Cheekface previously. You can find some that I did with Origami Angel, Pink Shift, Angimali, all sorts of people. So I'll put the bit.ly in there if you're on Twitch. You can find that with bit.ly/listen along YT with a capital L, a capital A, and a capital YT. Listen along YT will take you to all of the playlist of all of the other ones that I've done. And we should be having a good time. If you haven't been to one of these before, we're going to be listening to the entirety of an album from start to finish, no stopping. The music will not be played live on stream. So it is at this point that I will bring up this image. At first, I like to generally visit the band's Bandcamp, especially today because it's Bandcamp Friday. And you have did that test press? Did it sell already, or is it still up?
Those are long gone.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, very cool. So we'll go there.
But
I'll encourage you to purchase merchandise and stuff because Cheekface has an unending, joyful stream of merchandise, and then after that, we will then go on to the streaming part of this listen along where we will listen to the album. Again, the music will not be played live on stream for both like copyright purposes and to encourage you to check out the artists yourself. Give them a follow on whatever app you use to listen to music, whether that be the Green Music app or the Fruit with a Bite Taken Out of It or the Jay-Z one or whatever you use. Please hit that follow button or whatever so you can see when they release stuff. And the way that we will link up is by doing a countdown. I will do a 3, 2, 1, go. That wasn't it, but that's what it's going to sound like when I do it. We will all hit play on go, and we should be synced. I'll be synced with Greg. Greg will be synced with you, and you will all be synced with me. So that should be good. Final thing here. Over there, you see exclamation point listen. Someone has already done it. Brothmoth has done exclamation point listen in the chat, and that brings up 4 links today. We are just filled with links at the moment. The first one is the link tree for Cheekface that has essentially everything else that is linked afterwards, but I put other individual links as well. So we have the limited run for Cheekface, which is their merch. And then after that is the Bandcamp link, which we're going to take a look at shortly. And then finally the Spotify link for the album. If you listen in a different way, I'm sorry, but you can find it just by looking up Cheekface, and the album is Too Much to Ask. So Cheekface, Too Much to Ask. Pull up your streaming provider now, the one that you use, and we will get going pretty soon. So hello, people in the chat. Terry Vision, Cheekface is Real is here. Cheekface Real. Narrow Elf, Rad Rabbit, Emo Seal, Brothmoth again. Hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm excited for this one. I'm a big fan of Cheekface. Some might call me a cheek freak, as they say. And I do say that. I would say I'm a cheek freak. I'm going to go to a window where we can see you now, Greg. Is that all right with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Hi, Greg.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, and I hope everyone else is as well. It's a Friday. Which do you normally work Fridays, Greg?
I do. I feel like I work on 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say because like I've heard tell of what your job is from other people that have visited you at your work. Like Susie True Band, I was talking to them and they were like I didn't know what you did. So it's nothing strange. And by the way, everyone, I'm just being coy because I don't know how much information Greg wants out there. But
Oh yeah, I'm a music industry worker bee as well. So that's
yeah,
what I do for my day job.
yeah. I always wonder like when somebody chooses to do one of these on a weekday, like what your schedule must be like because I know some. I mean, like I work weekends almost every weekend, and we're recording stuff for Glass Beach every weekend right now, so things are super hectic. Do you are you like a you're still full time, right? Like you have a full time job on top of doing like cheek face stuff.
Yeah, yep.
Yep.
Just a busy little guy over here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I I'm gonna pull up your Bandcamp here. Well, I have it pulled up already technically, but I'm gonna go to it. I'm gonna take a look. So I'm seeing here that the test press has sold out.
Bye.
That's here. Bye bye. Um, and then oh, where is here? Let's look. So I watched your Rolling Stone stream
Oh, cool.
while you were on that, so I heard all about this stuff. But I just want to talk. I know that you're not the one who does the album art, but you wanna talk about the dog here, Stubbs.
Yeah, so the album art, all the cover art for all of our stuff, also all our merch and everything that has that distinct cheek face look to it is all done by Mandy, who's my songwriting partner and our bass player, um, and also obviously just the astounding illustrator and designer. Um, so yeah, then that on the album cover of Too Much to Ask, that is Mandy's beloved dog Stubbs, so named because he's extremely stubborn. He's super old and deaf and in faltering health, as one is when they are extremely old. And Stubbs cannot be bothered to do a lot of things because he's stubborn, possibly owing to his personality, but likely owing to his old age and failing health. Um, but that's Stubbs on the cover, and it's been touch and go on Stubbs's health between the time when Mandy drew the album cover and the record came out, and we were like, Stubbs cannot fucking die before the album comes out. Stubbs has to go to the Cheekface promotional bus bench at 5122 York Boulevard in Los Angeles and enjoy his visage on a piece of public furniture. He cannot shuffle off this mortal coil before that. And thankfully, Stubbs lives.
Oh wow. Well, do you think Stubbs will make it to your LA record release show?
I would love it if Stubbs made it to our LA record release show. Every time I've hung out with Stubbs, he's just kind of laid there, totally docile and quiet. And also, he's deaf, so he's not very bothered by loud
Okay.
noise. Um, but Mandy says that although Stubbs comes to band practice occasionally, that he gets stressed out by it. So I can't
Oh,
tell because he just lays there and does nothing. But
but Mandy can tell.
Mandy can tell, and Mandy says that Stubbs gets stressed out. So I kind of doubt that Stubbs will make it to the Troubadour, and definitely won't make it to Baby's All Right. I don't think that he's up for that kind of travel. But
All right. Well, we're all hoping for Stubbs, and if Stubbs, if a concert isn't a good place for Stubbs, then that's okay. We
I mean,
understand.
like I said, he's been to band practice and he just lays there, so he seems fine. But I don't know everything about Stubbs, but Mandy does.
Yes. I do want to say from the Rolling Stones interview again as well. I really loved the breakdown that Mandy gave because I wasn't actually familiar with where the whole like drawing stuff started, and it didn't like like the fact that it was just drawing food. just like sitting and drawing food, and then was like, what about this, what about that? You were like, that's perfect, that's it. And then like moving on to this record, everything being sports themed, and you have like the tennis ball on the front. And yeah, I how much goes into that exactly? Like before you start releasing singles and everything, are you like, oh, we're gonna do sports now, or oh, we're whatever?
Mandy thinks about it a lot. I don't think about it that much. Usually, when like at the beginning when we were trying to figure it out, I had a few like really strong ideas for what it should look like, and then those all went by the wayside because what Mandy did was way cooler. And like I saw it and I was like, that's it. Like well, I don't even need to chime in on what this needs to be. And then so she'll sometimes be stressed out about like, oh, what's the next cover gonna be, or what's the next theme gonna be? And I'm always like, it's gonna be great because that's what you do. Like you just make dope illustrations and art and design. So like, you know, I don't even need to tell you what it needs to be like or consult on what it ought to be. Like you're just gonna make something cool, and I'm gonna be like, that's sick. It's better than what I would have thought of.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Like I love your the aesthetic and like the design behind your band so much, and it is all derived from Mandy's drawings and illustrations and stuff. I'm like desperate to see Mandy draw like a person. Like I just like I just would, to me seems like it would be so wonderful.
I'm trying to think if I have seen any illustrations of humans that she's done. I can't remember.
Yeah, because I'm looking at all of the single and album art right now as well, and it starts here. Like the first one was food, so we have the pie, the pizza, the ice cream, donut, the fries, like coffee, everything, and that was leading up to Therapy Island, which is a pizza, a big pizza, and then we had like this tech, this old tech like gear. So we got these old phones, Walkman, Nintendo controller, the old iMac, like the bubble, like see through clear iMac stuff. All this, it's like it is so cohesive and like I mean, in her style, it's hard not to have like a perfect illustration. It's hard not to have something very evocative for your singles, and I even think of like the single Lauren, the cover you did of the Rosie
The
Tucker
Rosie
song.
Tucker song. Yeah.
Yeah, even that like as a standalone is it's so wonderful to I just like I can't believe where some of this stuff comes from, because like just like a pencil and like the the bubble like block letters of Lauren is so good. You're right, Greg. Yes, no matter what it is, it's going to be very good because that's just kind of how Mandy is.
Yep.
Okay. Well, that's great. Let me pull up this for a second, see how this goes. I'm going to go to your merch store. I just want to do a little final plug here before we get on to the listening. So yeah, Therapy Island unfortunately is sold out. The vinyl for it. Well,
It'll be
fortunately
back.
and fortunately.
It'll be back next year.
Good. Oh, we have someone who just showed up to say buy cheekface merch live on stream. Do it. Scrambles.
Wow. William's wearing cheek face merch right now. Lay off.
I am, but hey, I have I well one I want the vinyl for both Emphatically No and Therapy Island. But I have wanted the Cheek Face 7 like crew neck for so long, and it is like I want to say it is reasonably priced. I'm gonna get out the gate to say that, but crew necks are just generally expensive. But it is
Yeah.
I will say it, all of your merchandise I think is very reasonably priced.
That's
I
nice of you to say. I try not to like chat too much about merch pricing because I mean, like every now and then someone I like our cheapest t-shirt is like $25, and then the most expensive item we sell is $40. And like I want the merch to be inclusive, like priced inclusively, that like if you like the band, you'll be able to find something. We also have like pins that are way cheaper and stuff like that. But every now and then someone's like, "Oh, your merch is so expensive," and I'm like, "Oh no, it probably is too expensive." But the sad truth is that unfortunately, merch costs a lot to make right now. It also costs a lot to ship right now,
Yes.
and like I've had the occasional person be like, "I've screen printed my own T-shirts, and I know they're only like $10 to make," and I'm like, yes, the other $10 or $15 that go is tacked onto the price is the money that Cheekface gets to continue doing our little project.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you don't want us to have and the $10 or $15, that's totally cool. Just don't buy anything. And also, if you like screen printing your own shirts and you want a cheek face shirt, make your own cheek face shirt. Like, and every tour we see people who have made amazing ones. So we fully support bootleg cheek face merchandise. Like, not Redbubble. Like, don't go on Redbubble and
Yes.
like
Yeah.
design and manufacture fake cheek face shirts. But like, if you or your homie has a screen printing kit and you're like screening your own, like by all means. And you
Yeah.
know what? Go outside the show and sell them to people outside the show at prices that undercut our prices. That's totally fine. I'm totally for it. $10, $9, you lose money on them. That's your business. Like, like if you made it out of like, the joy in your heart of creating something, I'm all for it. All of my bandmates are too. Um, just like making fake cheap face merch on Redbubble, that's not the wave. Don't
Yeah.
do that.
I agree. I agree. And I feel very similarly about Glass Beach stuff too. If you want to make your own merch, like totally. We just like are constantly bombarded with like links from people from Redbubble that are like, "Is this yours? Is this your merch? I really want this shirt."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "It's not." We do have
Yeah.
merch. Yeah, and
You're
then
like,
so
you're like, did you look at that thing and how fucking terrible it is? You think we would have sold something like that on purpose?
well, yeah, there's one that's like it's funny because it's just like the issue we have, and this is probably similar for you, is like the album covers that you have are so good that you could just like take the album cover and put it on a shirt and people would want it. And
Yeah.
so that's what like we're running into with Redbubble is like our album cover is just like ending up on like shirts there. And so to like kind of to combat that, we were like, well, what if we made like some merch that had just the album cover on it? So we were like, yeah. I mean, because like I want a shirt with the album cover on it. I know it's a great album cover. Dax did an amazing job. I was like, I do want a shirt with that on it. I
Yeah.
want a mask with the album cover on it. I was like, sure, we can do like a couple of little pieces of merch like that. So we did it, and then everyone complained that it just looked like Redbubble merch. And I was like,
Oh, damn.
oh
No.
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 Oh, so it goes. Uh, I am for sure. Okay, I'm doing it, by the way. I'm buying your merch online right now on
Oh,
stream, live on
shit.
stream. I do need to go away from the window though because it's going to give my information.
Oh, shit.
so so I'm doing it. Let me just move this really quick. I need to make sure and there's no possible way my info is going to end up on screen here. Great.
It's all on the dark web already. We already
I'm
have it.
I mean, that's true.
I
Probably.
just bought it. Does anyone want to see me buy William's social security number on the dark web here live on the
I'll
screen?
here live
On
on
the screen?
stream. Um, and who do you go through limited run? So you don't personally ship out like the merch, do you?
No, unfortunately, those days are over
No,
because
yeah,
the
yeah,
merch orders got too complicated, and thankfully, the volume of merch orders got too large. And so, yeah, we use a company called Second City, which is in Chicago, um,
yes,
and they have done right by us around every corner. So we are very grateful, Second City, for my living room no longer being piled high with boxes of merch and shipping supplies and me having to go to the post office every single freaking day.
yeah. I really I couldn't imagine having to keep up with all of that, especially like when sometimes like after you get done releasing like when you first release merch and it's like a lot of orders and then like the small amount that trickle in every once in a while, like keeping up with that would just be so overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, the last what broke me was the last album drop. Because we sold so much shit and it was in so many different combinations. Like, which like if you're just packing records, like yes, it is physically demanding to pack 1,000 records, but you just do the same thing over and over with the same materials. But like once you're like, oh, this one goes out with two t-shirts, and this one goes out with one t-shirt, and this one goes out with a copy of this other thing, and this one goes out with a sweatshirt, and it's just like, oh my god, like you need so many different types of boxes. You need
Mm-hmm.
so many different ways to seal those boxes, like and then of course inevitably you send people the wrong things, and then they're like, oh, you sent me the wrong thing, and it's like, damn it, like I can't charge you $8 to send it back to me because I messed up. But if I'm sending you this like 3/4 baseball shirt twice, then like we're losing $25 on your order, which like it's just everyone loses. So I can't ship them out of my living room anymore.
Yeah. And I did just get your order is complete. I can't show you though because it has my email address on it. So
Okay, wait, let me see what you ordered. Now I have your address too. Should I screen share? Just kidding. Oh, went with the crew neck. Nice.
I have to. I've wanted it
Hell
for
yeah.
so long. I really have. And eventually, hopefully, I can get the vinyl, like all of the vinyl. After when the vinyl comes out, like next time when you do a big drop, I'll just get all three of them at the same time.
Sick. Hopefully all three of them will be in print at the same time.
Oh
Unfortunately, it
well, yeah,
takes
that's
so
a good
freaking
point.
long to make them these days
Yeah.
that it's hard to sync them all up.
All right, I got to get back to the band camp here, and then we can get into it. All right, everyone. I'm doing the last call. Pull up your streaming provider. We're gonna get into it.
Woo!
There we go. Putting that back up. Okay, cool. Any last things you want to talk about before we get started?
Hell no, let's grip and rip, baby.
Okay, great. That sounds good to me. Some other people, Swamp Child made it in here. Swamp Child has tried to make it to several listen alongs and was unsuccessful. So I'm glad that you're
Welcome,
here.
Swamp Child.
Yes, we have Friendly Porpoise. Just ordered a vinyl, hoping to see you in the UK someday. Oh,
Woo!
yeah.
Thank you
We
for your
got
business.
Ponpar. Oh, Ponpar, who is saying that the pink rat hat gets a lot of compliments. It is, yeah, that's great. I love the rat hat. Our friend Madeline designed the rat hat, designed the cool rat logo. Big fan of that. Madeline actually made that as like kind of a fan art thing. Do you ever get this, Greg? Where like Madeline, I mean, like Madeline is a friend of ours, so it's a little bit different. But she made this like she made the cool rat hat design. It was just a cool rat with a skateboard or like with a backwards hat. Cool. I don't think it used to have a skateboard. Maybe it doesn't anymore. But we saw that and we were like, oh wow, that's like so on brand for us that like we have to make that merch. We have to make that our merch. Does that does that ever like come to you, or where maybe Mandy like makes like just draws something and you're just like that has to be merch?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was never a big merch, like in previous bands I was in. I didn't care that much about merch. With this band, for whatever reason, it's been really fun making merch. Probably just because it's like really fun seeing what Mandy makes and getting stoked on it. And also like people are stoked on our merch, and every time we like do a little merch drop, people buy it. So that makes it just a fun like community activity to do. Um, yeah, I mean, we get a lot of fan art and a lot of like suggestions of like, hey, like I drew this thing for you. I think it would be dope on a t-shirt. Like, and I gotta say, like some of the homemade first, we love fan art. It's fire. Also, again, make your own bootleg cheek face merch. 100% support it. Just don't do it on Redbubble. Like, make it yourself. Screen it yourself. Have the homie with the screen printing kit in his garage. Make it. Do that. But like, but yeah, some people though be very pushy about their ideas for us. And like, hey, I want to design merch for you. Here's 10 things. Like, and it's like, it's nice that you thought of us, I think, but also Mandy does all the art and we're kind of proud of it. And so
Yeah,
it's like, we're not like trying to solicit. I will say though, the like merch, the pushy merch people are nothing compared to the pushy music video people. The people who are like, "Let me make you a music video," they they come in hot. Those people
I
come in hot.
I for a long time I was one of those people. I I definitely was, yeah, for like several artists, which is funny because now like I'm shooting a music video for someone next week who I solicited like years ago
Oh damn!
and who did not know me at the time, and I was just like, "Please, I love your music so much." Um yeah, and they like didn't respond, and like now that I have a band, now that I'm in a band that like people would want to make music videos for, it makes so much more sense to me that like same thing with merch, like what you're saying with Mandy, is when you get to this point, like you want to use your friends, like you when you have the, oh, people actually want to buy merch from us, so I want to use my friends merch designs, or like or someone in the band, you know, or with like a music video or something. I'm sure a lot of people have friends who are good cinematographers or something, or directors or stuff, and you just go like, hey, I like a friend of mine want to shoot a music video for us, or that kind of thing. I'm gonna put my hat in the ring though. I'm gonna solicit you right now, Greg. I would shoot the absolute shit out of a cheek face music video. I
That's
don't have you don't have to say
that is
anything,
extremely flattering.
you know. But I would shoot all a music video for every single song that you have. I
That
would
is
do all of them.
extremely flattering, especially knowing how grueling it is to make a music video. We have made no music videos. We have made video content, but we have made no
Right.
music videos. The reason why is because every time I've been in a band and we made a music video, I fucking hated the process. It's just not fun for me at all. And so I'm just like, well, that's not fun, so I'm not doing that.
Yeah. No, no, I completely understand. Yeah, it really it depends too, because like, you know, a lot of people, they like Jay, for example, doesn't really like being at the front and center of like music videos, doesn't like being the main character or whatever, which is something we've worked through. And it's like, yeah, for future music videos we've talked about just like not being in them. Like, or something
Yeah,
like that.
and that's the thing though, like as a fan, like I like seeing my favorite artist in the video, and I do not emotionally connect to those videos where it's just like a vibe.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, well, I don't want to put out the kind of video that I don't watch or like.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and so then it's like, well, that leaves me with the ones where like, and it's not the main character thing, because I mean, if you don't want attention, being in a band is a weird thing to do, um, but like but really like the process of making one, the process of shooting one, like trying to look interested while you do the same thing 25 times over and over and over again, and do that all day for a whole day or 2 days. It's just like, you know, just like so deeply unfun, like to me,
Hey.
that I'm
Yeah.
like after about 20 minutes of it, I'm like, is this over yet? And I remember like one uh like director of a video I was in being like, hey, you kind of have like weird dead eyes doing this. Like, can you like just like look around? Like, and I wasn't trying to be like, I'm not having fun, I'm gonna pout, you know, like I was just like doing what I thought I was supposed to do, but like the impossibility of me acting interested and doing the same thing 25 times so that there were enough camera angles and enough to choose from and enough like coverage was just, I my brain just could not make my face look like I was interested.
Well, I mean, having seen you live, you're. I'm not going to say you have dead eyes, by the way. This was not a setup. This was not a setup for me to say that. No, but having seen you live, like your face is like not like overly expressive, but it's like it like fits the music so well. It's like it's your part of your delivery. Like I can tell that you are having a good time and you want us to have a good time without you needing to be like,
Yeah. I mean, I think like learning how to like what splitting the difference between like how I feel about the lyrics um and like wanting to give an entertaining show, which we definitely do. Like, is a balance I'm still trying to get right. Um and like I don't have a lot of people who I can look to for like what does it look like when to do that right, you know? Because yeah, I just am like I feel like this is not like a flex or whatever. I feel like there's just like not a lot of people doing similar music to us right now. So I'm like I can't look at like, oh, there's that band that's like really similar to us and here's how they make it work. Like
yeah,
I'm kind of trying to invent it. Like so I think I change it with every tour, like how I'm gonna approach it and just kind of see what how it works when I change it. But yeah, so it was different on the last tour. I don't know if it worked better or worse or the same.
I mean, like I saw your show at the Echo, um, when shows started like coming back a little bit more in full force and everything, and I I really loved that show. It was like pretty much my first concert back, and um, I don't go to concerts anymore now again though. After getting COVID myself, I was just like I think I'll chill on that for a little while again, but. It was really amazing. I loved your live show so much. It was wonderful getting to see. I saw you and Rosie Tucker like within a week of each other, and I was just like, this is amazing because like you're two of my favorite bands, like
That's so
literally. I Yeah. Anyway, well, we can get into it now. So
okay.
before it gets too much later, yeah. Uh oh no. And we just lost Narrow Elf, who said, "Dang, got to get back to work." Was hoping to listen
Oh
along. Well, enjoy.
nar.
But that's okay, Narrow Elf. If you're still here, this is gonna go up on YouTube afterward. This is gonna go up on the Second
Yeah.
Class Beach channel, so you can catch the actual like listening portion later. I'm sorry that I took so long to get to this point. I just wanted to talk to Greg. It's my
It's
bad.
really not William's fault. It's my fault entirely that I will never stop talking ever.
And it's but I won't stop asking questions. So so really
Synergy.
we're yes. Or the perfect storm of bad behavior for a listen along. So here we go.
Uh,
Uh I'm pulling mine up. I got my streaming provider activated.
I'm ready.
I'm ready. All right, I'm gonna lose Greg for a second. Okay. And then I'm gonna get Greg back. Here we go.
We back.
Hold on. There you are. Okay. I'm gonna do the countdown. So this is Too Much to Ask by Cheekface. And the first song is When Life Hands You Problems. Again, Too Much to Ask by Cheekface. When Life Hands You Problems. 3, 2, 1, go.
So this song, I started with Lexi from Susie True. And it was like something we just started together in a session. And it was like pretty shambolic the way we wrote it. Like, um, and in a way I was like, oh, is it like too like cutesy for like a cheek face record, which tend to be like kind of muscular. And but then like I was listening to the demo the next day and I was like, oh, like if like it has a big drop on the chorus, it will have that muscular feel. And so then I, got in with Mandy and we retooled it and revised the lyrics and all that, and it ended up how it was. And right down to the wire, because this song is like a minute 20. I was like, does it need to be stretched out? Like, should we try a guitar solo? Should we try a third chorus? Does it need a third verse? Does it need a breakdown? And Mandy was like, all through, she was like, no, 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 no. We could try it, but we're not going to need it. And we never tried it. And that's what it was.
And it was great. It's a perfect opener. And then we get into we need a bigger dumpster here. But the last thing I want to say, like, when Life Hands You Problems make Problem 8 is so good. Where,
Thank you.
like, how early in the process was that part of the demo that you did with?
Yeah, that was in the demo, and like I just like the way we write, like I'll usually just like we'll be scrolling through my notes and just like sing random phrases out of my notes, and then like so most things don't stick, but like something might stick, and like I like freestyled or not freestyle, but riffed that lyric on the instrumental, and like Lexi just burst out laughing, and I was like, all right, like that's going in. So yeah, that was the song. This one, okay, so this one we is the only one we didn't record in the studio together like a normal record. We did this one like mid pandemic, and we did this one at home. So like Echo recorded his own drums, Mandy recorded her own parts, like I cut the vocals and the guitar in my living room, and like I usually recording our songs, like the cutting vocals is pretty easy because I kind of sing the songs the exact same way unless like the band comes on the talk back and is like, can you try this or this or that. But usually I'll give like 3 or 4 performances that are just exactly the same pretty much. And uh, I mean, because like we demo it all out, so we
Yeah.
try a bunch of things, and then we're like, here's what's working, here's what's not working, like and so with this one, recording it myself, like I was like, okay, I gotta set up like a vocal booth. I gotta hang like towels and sheets so there's not too much reverb in my like hallway, and like I gotta like put the mic right up against the wall so it's really like not bouncing anything back off the wall, and it's like right against the towels. And I was just giving the worst, shittiest, most piss poor performances of this song, and they were not consistent, and they all were terrible. And I was like, no, what's wrong with me? And it was like middle of the pandemic, right? So like I was rusty, like straight up just rusty. And I gave up on singing this song, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it another day. And then I was like, it was the middle of the day, and like it was super sunny. It was the summer, and like I was just like, I think now's the time I can get it. And I just put the mic up right in the middle of my living room with no treatment and no attempt to make it acoustically better in any way. Um, and just like plugged it in, pushed record, let it loop, and like that was the take. And like there's no comping. Like it might be a separate chorus take and separate verse take, but this was not like Compton line to line or like, oh, I don't like how I sang that word, like let's switch in another one. Like, it was like that this is just like pretty much straight through. And in like several of the takes I totally fully choked up and like started crying between the pressure of like getting the take and the meaning of the lyrics and the I guess
And the
like
situation.
the
Yeah.
loneliness of the situation. And I was like, and like in that take of the verses and the pre-choruses, and even at the end of the chorus, I can hear myself like swallowing down like the emotions of it. And like those vocals aren't tuned or anything, they're just like sung through that way. And I was just like, do I need to redo this again, because like you can hear me swallowing my tears basically. And uh I was like, no, we're just gonna leave it swallowed.
Yeah. I mean, it's such a good performance. It's so good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh
um Pledge Drive, this was one of the
yeah,
last
Pledge
ones.
Drive. Yeah.
This was one of the last ones we wrote before we recorded the album, which we did in like the winter into the spring of this year. So this yeah, this was like maybe the first song we wrote, because like we got back to like in 2021 we got vaccinated, we started practicing again, we were super rusty. It took a long time to get up to speed, then we started learning songs, then we started playing shows, and then we did the tour. And so we weren't like writing a ton, like we were just like trying to get back into it. And so then like this was the first one we wrote together in the room, me and Mandy, like post pandemic. Some of these songs we did write over Zoom. And this one, yeah, I think like there's like a lot of interplay between the guitar and the bass. And I'm like, that only happens when you're sitting together with somebody like trying to make like the back and forth work. So I really hear that in this song. Whereas like some of the other ones are more tidy, because like when you're
Yeah.
like, you know, bouncing files back and forth, you're gonna like be more tidy and not be like trying to find places to like lock together and drift apart.
And this like triplet feel just coming in.
Somebody DM'd and asked, "What's with the references to dumpsters and trash that are throughout the album?" And I was like, "Is that not really obvious?" Like, what about being alive right now would make you think that we are all in the dumpster getting covered in trash?
Yeah, what's with that?
Yeah. This is
Yeah.
actually like probably the oldest song that made it onto the album. And it was written entirely before the pandemic and like completely finished. Um, and it was like not long. We wrote this one around the same time as we wrote Emotional Rent Control. And we were really trying to like vibe on
Wow.
Rick Ocasek, because he had like died somewhat recently. And we were like, oh, let's pull some Cars influence in. And this was like our attempt to do In Touch with Your World by the Cars, which like if you are familiar with the song or the album, it's actually like the loosest song on the first Cars album. And so this is like not loose at all, and it's very rigid. So we totally failed in our attempt to do that. But like the like guitar licks that kind of slip back and forth and don't like really land on the beats where you expect a guitar riff to be, was that's pretty similar to like In Touch with Your World. Oh yeah, and this Moog synthesizer, that's definitely every car song has that, obviously. Also, I did a Twitter poll of like every Mandy bass line on this album is just so absolutely nasty. And there are great Mandy bass lines on the other two albums too, and a couple of really nasty ones, but this one is just start to finish. I'm just like, damn, these bass lines are so nasty. And I did a Twitter poll, and people voted that this was the nastiest one on the album. And it is quite nasty. Although I personally think that Friends is nastier, but this one is really nasty.
Yeah, the bass line on this is very. I love the bass line on the verses, and you leave so
Yeah,
much
that's what I'm
space
talking
for
about.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you leave so much space for it. It's really great. Um, the fucking Mandy just whispering weird in my ears.
Yeah.
Weird. Um,
Um, it's funny because that one, like, several people have been like, I've seen like tweet or whatever, like that, like it's this whisper in the way in the background that you can barely hear, and it's actually right on top. It's like the loudest thing in the mix. It's just that it is a whisper that makes it sound like it's far away. But like as we were mixing it, we were like, no, the whisper needs to be louder,
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 louder.
louder, louder, louder. It needs to be so loud it sounds like a mistake. So that's what ends up with it sounding like it's really far away.
And this one is featured singer.
Yeah, this one is a pandemic record all the way. This was a Zoom song. I sent Mandy some chord changes. She sent me back some bass lines, and one of them was this bass line, like under the chord changes that I did. and I was like, this bass line is so much nicer than like the chord changes I sent. Like the bass line, that bass line is a song by itself. It does not need the guitar stuff that I had started with. And so I was like, what is the song with this bass line? And I had this little poem I was starting in my iPhone notes about like, oh, how much easier would it be if I could just be the featured singer on one of those like EDM records that was like big like 8 9 years ago, where like a lot of times like the singer wasn't even credited
Yeah.
on those songs, and like but those songs are everywhere, and you'd never know who sang it or who wrote it or whatever. Like, but like obviously it was like all glory to the DJ who was like
Mm-hmm.
the guy with the pyrotechnics at Coachella, and you know I was like How Deep Is Your Love by Calvin Harris, right? Like who sang that song? No one knows.
All right.
Um, like, I mean, it's not a mystery. You can Google it, but like that person isn't
Yes.
credited as the artist. And so, and so I was like, damn, like how nice would it be if like I was just the faceless vocalist on a Calvin Harris song, and I didn't even have to worry about like, touring, load in and load out, like doing the laundry on the road, like, like what waking up at 6 in the morning to roll out of the Econo Lodge, like outside of New Orleans, to drive for 8 hours, like, like if I could just like go in, sing the song for the famous DJ, they'd make it a popular song and I wouldn't have to do anything else. Like, of course, like being in a band, you don't do it because it's easy. Like, actually, part
Yeah.
of the fun part of it is that it's hard. Um, like if you're a person who likes being in bands. And so,
Yes.
so, uh, and so like, in the end, I was like, what a stupid thing to think, because that's not like what I think, but it was just where my mind was wandering. So I started this little poem about it. And then I was like, Mandy, check this out. And then like I had this little first stanza or second stanza, and then we wrote the rest of it on Zoom as the bass line was looping, and
Oh,
that's it. That's the
cool.
song.
Yeah, I mean, wow, that's like such a like looping the instrumental or looping the bass line is such a good idea for like just like going and getting lyrics down to. It's like it's been pretty intuitive too. It's funny that I don't think to do that kind of stuff myself. Oh wow! There's some people here in the chat that have said some stuff. I wanted to. Baby Oak Octo said I saw Cheekface in Columbus last year and it was magic. One of the shows where it sounded just like the recordings. It was amazing. Says them, and then Pon Par says Pledge Drive grew on me a lot with every listen. Same as featured singer. And then Emo Seal,
Yeah.
at least this makes me feel like happier trash. Says Emo Seal. Uh huh. And then
Okay.
Noodles.
Noodles. Yeah. This was one we knew it had to be on the album. Like that like we just needed this like this moment of like no thoughts, just noodles in the middle of the record. And it was funny because like a lot of the like press on the record was like, this album is cool, except what is the point of the song in the middle? Um, and I'm like, there's so many words on this album. Like, don't you want a break from all of those words? Like, no thoughts, just noodles. Um, but it is one that like TikTok likes it, and I'm like, okay, like, like that makes sense to me. Yeah, it's like totally a Ween pastiche. Like, there's like a lot of Ween albums have like 10 songs like this. And me and Mandy love Ween. I don't know what Echo thinks about Ween.
Oh, and then we have Election Day featuring Sydney Gish.
Yes, we got Sydney Gish on the album.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, this was a pandemic song too. I was writing it around Hanukkah, thinking about, you know, historical Jewish apartness, uh and I came up with this basic idea. And this is actually like probably the longest it ever took us to record a song. like in terms of like the process of recording it, like we tried a lot of different versions to try to make it work, and we like eventually gave up and we're like, let's come back to it in a month or a couple months. Um, but yeah, so we like kind of gave up on the weird versions and just took it back to something pretty basic. But it still didn't have like a third verse or and like had this big open hole in it. And I'd hung out with Sydney after we played in Brooklyn in October. And we did that thing you do with people, which is like, oh, let's collab on something sometime. Oh yeah, that'd be cool. And like, you know, most of the time nothing happens. And I hadn't talked to her since then until like I don't know, it's probably like April when like we are getting towards wrapping this up, and I just texted her the song and was like, hey, if you want to put anything on this, like some backup vocals, or you want to do a verse or guitar solo, like like we'd love to have you on it, especially because we couldn't figure out what it was supposed to be. And she texted right back and I was like, oh, the song, let me give it a try. And
Oh,
she sent back what, you know, like what she did, and like my like heart just did a somersault because I am just like a Sydney Gish fanatic, and just like hearing her sing something new, regardless of it being on our record, was just like such a, I don't know. It was an honor. I'm like incredibly grateful.
yeah. I also am a big Sydney Gish fanatic, as you said. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very happy for you too. And it's a beautiful, lovely little kiss on the song.
Yeah. Um,
And
this one, you always want to bomb the Middle East, was one that I was really self conscious about, because I know that the politics of it are simple, which is that it's bad when the United States bombs the Middle East. But I think that I was also like, that is a really serious subject, and I don't want it to sound like we don't think it matters, because it's on the song because we do think it matters. It's on the record because we do think it matters. And you know, I was going back and listening to like Rock the Casbah and Spanish Bombs and being like, these songs are so fun, but the subject matter is so serious. Like, what makes that work? Um, like, where is it played straight, and like, where is it played for a laugh? And just trying to like get the like internalize the way that they were able to pull those songs off. And I know like some people are like, well, Rock the Casbah isn't pulled off because a lot of people think it's about how it's good to bomb the Middle East, which is like obviously you have to be really dense to think that that's what the song is about. And I'm like, I'm not worried about people who don't get it at all. I'm worried about people who do get it, thinking, you know, that like we're trying to be glib about it, which we are not.
yeah,
So that is a so it was a trip to try to like uh get it right. But I got it right to my satisfaction. So
yeah.
hopefully others think the same.
I think so. I think you got it right. And to me, what's worse than like trying, going for something like this is to not, to
Yeah,
avoid making art about and like talking about things that are very serious. I and maybe like it is not directly related to you like culturally or anything, but I think the song works very well. And based on the references that you bring up, like I think you meet the standard for what a song like this should be like.
thanks, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it's what I'm super proud of, and I also felt like of all these songs like on this record, and like I'm proud of them all, but like, and I feel like they all are you know, they all got to be cheekface songs, but this is when I was like, as we were writing it, we were like, is there another band that we can think of right now that could do this song, like that would write a song like this and perform a song like this, and where it would make any sense at all? And like most people would not even try because it's so sensitive. um and I was just like, I was like just proud that like this is the kind of thing where like we can do it and we should do it and only we can do it. Like that kind of song, that kind of way, you know.
Yeah. The closest I could think is like a Jeff Rosenstock. I think someone in the chat like
Yeah,
said that too.
definitely.
But even that is different. Like because Jeff is like you have a tinge of humor to your new music that Jeff doesn't have necessarily. It's like not like there aren't really like jokes.
Yeah.
And your music has jokes. So for you to approach a subject like that when like you're kind of known for, joke like very important like jokey content, that's like that is like a hurdle other people don't have to cross, to get over.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I appreciate you noticing that. And that was definitely something I was trying to take from like Rock the Casbah. Rock the Casbah is hilarious. Like the lyrics are hilarious. The subject matter at the heart of it is extremely serious, but like it is a hilarious song. Like, and as someone like of Jewish heritage, like where, the song is about like, well, yeah, you know what the song's about if you heard it, but
yeah.
like, that which figures into it, I was like, why do I relate to this like so much? And I was trying to like pull that into the Middle East.
Yeah, and this song that's halfway done now is Friends.
Yeah, one of the nastiest bass lines on the album. I felt like the song was like twin songs with I Feel So Weird. Like I feel like they're like
Oh
sisters.
yeah. I feel that too
Um,
because the choruses on it they're both like I mean, I'll say this every time you come on, you all write like extremely catchy, wonderful choruses, but Feel So Weird and Friends are such challenging choruses. They're yeah. It's like
yeah.
it is just enough like dissonance where I'm like, whoa, ooh. Yeah, it's great.
No, those are both like those back and forth choruses like Mandy loves that and was definitely like yeah bass solo obviously. um Mandy loves those like back and forth choruses, so yeah, when I like try an idea like that, like she'll always gravitate towards it, and sometimes she'll just be like, what if it went like, and then that's like what it is. So yeah, those ones definitely were ones where big Mandy pull on what the chorus melody was. Um,
And this is Next to Me Yo Guy version.
yeah, sometimes people ask why it's Yo Guy version, and we wrote the song without the breakdown in the middle where it goes Yo shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
and it was done, and then like when we pulled it back up, and this is another Zoom song, like when we pulled it back up and we're listening to it over Zoom, we were like, oh, that thing in the first verse about like standing outside and yelling yo outside your window, like we could bring that back around as a bridge or a breakdown. And then we just tried it and there it was. And then the new demo was labeled Next to Be Yo Guy version because it had the Yo Guy part in the middle and the name.
I also love the riff on this, the like scale
Thank
riff.
you.
Like,
One of a few on the album where me and Mandy were like really fucking with Marquee Moon by Television and like let's try a Marquee Moon type beat.
I love the featured cowbell on the chorus of this too. It really brings it together, in my opinion. And here we are. Whose voice is that?
The low voice is Mandy and the high voice is me.
Okay.
So obviously some form shifting going on there.
Right.
Guitar solo, needless to say.
Great. I know on previous records you had like um featured like guitar soloists, like people would come in and like put a riff on something or whatever. Was that you?
Yeah, that's me all the way on that one. I don't
Hell
think
yeah.
there's anyone else on guitar on this record. No, it's just me.
Oh, okay, cool. Um People have been saying some stuff in the chat. By the way, this is vegan water. Um yeah, a lot of God, I love this one. Yeah, this one slaps. I've had so much good. And that was for the You Always Want to Bomb the Middle East, I remember. EMS Seal saying, I think it's perfect. Rad Rabbit on the last one saying, love the synth like organ doubling in the chorus. And then
Yes,
Cowbell is curing my fever. Yeah.
we love Hammond organ in this band for sure. We'll put Hammond organ on all sorts of stuff, and I'll also like I'm the person who's like, let's go through every song and put Hammond organ on everything, and then just start pulling it out. Like uh, and like we'll listen through it and be like, okay, no, we tried Hammond organ all over the song and none of it works, and then we'll do the next one and be like, okay, like it can be in the pre-chorus on this one but nowhere else, or whatever. But I don't know what it is about Hammond organ, but one thing about this band is like any sounds that we like sounds where our ears are just like, I love that sound, I love anytime this sound happens on a song or on an album or on a recording, like those are, we will always listen to that voice in our heads of like, whatever that thing might be. Like we got
And
the
then,
disco claps on this, which
yeah,
is like
this,
a Mandy thing. She's like, I love when there's disco claps on a song. And like, so there's got to be disco claps on a song.
this song gives me an extremely Talking Heads vibe.
Yeah, this one was definitely, we started it right after we did that Talking Heads cover show in 2020.
Right.
Like right before the pandemic, we'd done an entire set of Talking Heads covers for somebody's birthday. And I think we did it with like an 8-piece band, and we started to hear like how like Talking Heads songs are kind of like every instrumental part is like a little module, and like they're like 1 bar or 2 bars in length, and they loop and loop and loop and loop, and they just drop out and then they come back in. And so that was definitely like, we were like, okay, we're going to come up with like these modules. Like there's the Moog lead module, and there's the guitar like James Brown module of and then there's the like guitar arpeggio module of like and then there's the like synth loop module of like and then there's the Michael Jackson Rock With You drum fill. Because that's one of those things, like album needs to have the Rock With You drum fill on it, just like it needs to have the Satisfaction tambourine part on it. Like that's just like it's not an album without the Rock With You drum fill, or without like the tambourine from Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones. Like that is just, if you're in conversation with the history of American or global popular music, those things are just going to get on a record. Let that be a lesson for the next Glass Beach album.
Yeah, we will put that fill in there. I'll do it. Then we
And then
got
I loved, this was a last minute ad, this coda, where it repeated I Can Do No Wrong. Like we added it in the studio as we were recording the song. And I was just like, it went from like, I don't know where this goes on the album, to like, oh, this has to be the last song on the album, because just saying I can do no wrong over and over when it's so flatly false, it just is the message that needs to end the album.
oh, well,
That's the ball game.
there it is. And there it is. And the last, we have a chatter in here that says, I think it's G4Y Torino, I don't know, said this is a great album to be mischievous and just a silly little fella in public. Apparently.
That's how I feel making this music.
And you know what? It comes across. It definitely reads as though you are a mischievous, silly little fella, Greg.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any last things that you feel like you didn't get to talk about? You want to
Yeah,
tag
when's the
on?
next Blast Beach album coming? What is the holdup?
Wow, you
What
are
is the
doing it.
freaking holdup?
Yeah, the holdup, probably COVID. I would say is the holdup. Also, it just takes us a long time to make a record. You know, the first one took like 3.5 years.
What's the slow? Where's the what is the slow part of the process?
Writing it,
Writing it.
we're still writing it. Like we write as we record. So our process is like we demo like incessantly. It's just like constant demoing, and so like this is gonna be I don't is knowing the way that y'all record a record. This is probably gonna sound really funny, but like right now, we are just now getting back into recording drums, and we are doing it like one song a weekend.
Okay.
So
One song a weekend of drums
of
or
drums,
of everything.
nope, drums, just drums.
Wait, what? I must know. You're a great drummer. What is it like? You're not like you're not like cheesing takes. Like you can play songs all the way through and have them have a good pocket and a good feel all the way down. So like what is it? What is it that like takes you like 2 days to get a song on the drums?
We finish
So we're
writing.
also can I just say we've established that you're the slow part. That
Yes,
everyone who wants to know where the fuck is the Glass Beach album, it's William.
it's my fault. Yeah, it's partly my fault. Well, one, we record everything ourselves. We don't go into a studio. We have a shared practice space that we only get to use on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And we our drums aren't set up in there. So every time we have to record drums, we go in and we set all the drums up. We set up all of our mics like for it, and we like treat the space and like get it all ready. It's not the best way to do things, but it's like we just want as much control as possible. It's like how Jay and Lane prefer to work right now as well. But the big reason why it's like difficult is like, well, one, the songs aren't easy, which in and of itself is its own like struggle. But we don't finish like writing them until like the week before I'm going to be recording them. So then and I mean like structurally, and like my parts aren't even like solidified by the time I sit down to record. And we have like pretty sure what we're gonna do, and then Jay and I, as we're recording, finish writing the part. And like we're like we'll be doing something, and I'll go like, oh, what if we did this instead or something. And then the biggest thing is every once in a while I like, and it happens most with drums, I think, but I will do something, or I'll like suddenly have an idea while we're recording. We'll re-record like the section that I just recorded, and we're like, yes, this is it. But then Jay will like what I did so much that they will change the rest of the song, like all of the other parts. So then everybody else has to re-record their parts too. So it's like if they've already recorded parts, and like by then, like I said, we do extensive demoing. So like there are things that like get recorded by Lane or like Jonas or something, that were meant to be a demo recording, where like then Jay will be like, actually this is perfect, I don't want it any different, like this is what I want, we're just going to use it. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, great. Or it'll be like we will record what we believe to be the final take, and then like Jay will be like, actually I'm going to completely restructure the song. So I think it is because of the writing and recording process are intertwined like so much for us. I know it's like that for like you come up with stuff in the studio. You were just talking about like vegan water. You ended it with the singing coda, like, and that was something you came up in the studio. And at, like every band I know, somebody has an idea in the studio and it changes a song or it adds something, or it's like, oh, that's great. But we like literally are demoing as we're writing as we're recording, and it like just keeps flopping back and forth. And so it just like it is the process that we use, and it does what Jay like wants it to do. But because of that, like, yeah, I have very little to no time to actually practice the parts before getting in and recording them. So that's why it takes a while.
Classic. Echo has the equal and opposite problem, which is that like me and Mandy feel very strongly about what the parts are supposed to be, and we feel very strongly about like here's where you do whatever you want, but everywhere else you have to do what we wrote. And so he's just like, all right, cool. I'll just
Great.
do what you guys wrote. I feel
I
like that's the drummer's dilemma.
I will say I would love to be in a band where someone just told me exactly what to do.
Careful what you wish for, dog. Careful what you wish
I
for.
maybe not like I wouldn't want that instead of Glass Beach. Like I wouldn't
Uh-huh.
want that instead of what I have, but
In
like
addition,
maybe
uh-huh.
in addition, maybe just like a nice little like I don't know, traveling Wilburys where I grab some other like people from other bands and we just like do stuff like
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then like I'll write guitar parts for someone and they can write the drum parts for me.
Yeah. No, I mean it makes sense. I was driving this morning with the first Glass Beach album on, and I was like, there's these explosions of creativity that happen in the album where like it really breaks out of what you think the song is going to be and becomes something totally different. And a lot of times it is something really musically challenging. It doesn't feel musically challenging as a listener, but as a musician, like that's hard to do. And I guess that makes sense in the process. I have kind of a different, as a writer, I kind of have a different, feeling of what like I feel like a complete song is.
Hmm.
And so, I'm definitely like the 2 minute guitar pop song is like as a writer, the, pinnacle of what a song can be. And that's what I'm always like, and Mandy too, like we're always trying to like cut things down and make it simple and get right to the core of like what the song is trying to be. And like our revision process is a lot of times like we hear the demo a week later and we're like, oh, this song is actually really trying to be this part that we didn't have that
Oh.
much emphasis on. Like, how do we like make the song about this part and like really get to that nucleus of what the song's trying to be? And I don't know how to explain that, but I know that other writers have that feeling too. Like the song is really trying to be this thing, and like it once you put it down.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it takes listening back to it, being like, oh, that's the cool part, and like we've had that experience with so many songs that we've written. So that's more about like how do we like distill it down to its like tightest essence. Uh, but that's not how all my favorite records are.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my favorite records have tons of left field ideas in them that happen at any time that like I don't want to say they're random times because they're written that way. But as a listener, they're surprising,
Yeah.
which like creates that excitement, like as a fan. And like the Glass Beach albums are all about that, like, where it's just like you never would have seen that coming, but you hear it and it makes total sense. But it's like also just a total surprise, like, which is obviously, I don't need to tell you why your band is good, like you already know, but like,
No, but that's
but
so
that's,
sweet. Yeah.
and that's part of that process, like our process is very much about like distill it down, get to the white hot essence of what this song is supposed to be, and like feel like although Glass Beach songs also have white hot essences, they also have like ragtime breakdowns and stuff like that, where I'm just like, I'm never gonna have a ragtime breakdown in the song, like not because I think they're bad, I think ragtime breakdowns are fucking tight. uh, but like it's just the not our mo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's funny too that you're like, oh, distilling down to like, always cutting stuff out because we're like our problem is we are always adding. Like we are always adding like something. Yeah. I don't know. Well, here's an exclusive. I don't know that we have a song that is less than like 3.5 minutes on the next record.
At TMZ, next Glass Beach album is a prog opus of winding, never-ending songs. 6-disc vinyl.
I mean, we set out when we started. We're like, we're gonna make this shorter than the first album, and now we're just like, well, who if people liked the first album, it was that long. I'm sure they'll like the second album if it's that long.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, it's obviously it's art, and you gotta like just be excited about the art you're making, and that's the most important part. And if people don't like it, that's fine. Or at least that's how I feel about it.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, for sure. And we're all like super happy with it. It's like Jay is in a songwriting like extreme zone where it is stuff that is like very challenging, but also I think their strength is writing things that are complex while making them very consumable. Like it's not challenging in the sense of like, oh, we're playing in 17/5 and like you can't feel the groove because it's like nothing you've ever experienced before or something. It's like we play in odd time signatures, but like Jay, especially for me, is always like, if we're gonna play in a time signature that isn't like a usual, like the average time, it's not 4/4, it's not 6 or whatever. If we're gonna play in 7, if we're gonna play in 5, it has to have pocket. It still has to groove. Like people need to almost not notice that it's in a different time signature, and so that's like what we're always like trying to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
I think I can take us out, or if
yeah,
you want,
great.
and we can.
No, no, that's it. At TMZ, long Glass Beach album coming not soon.
Coming not soon. Coming next year probably.
Probably.
I can actually. I'll say strongly next year for sure.
Strongly next year for sure.
I just
Probably.
can't give you like a season. I know what season it's supposed to be, but I can't put that out there.
Leak it.
It's supposed to be spring.
Spring. Damn. It be coming. Well, now that I got your social security number off the dark web, I can get into your Google Drive and get all the demos. So we can expedite this release date.
Oh, good. Yeah, we'll get that like Google notification that's like a new login has
Yeah,
occurred.
from a MacBook in Los Angeles. Yeah, exactly.
Well, if it said that, I would probably just think it was my own. So you would get away with it.
Yeah, it's already too late. SoundCloud.com/Second Glass Beach album.
So I mean, if somebody like walks away with that like URL or something, I know last time I had you on, I did say like we're not going to name it the Second Glass Beach album. So I thought, I was like, if somebody else wants to name their album that, I think that would be
Uh-huh.
funny. But like, yeah, that would moreover be definitely like a fan taking a like a little hit at us, like, I released the Second Glass Beach album, and I'd be like,
Damn.
okay, you did
Wait,
it.
did did the first one come out before our first album came out? May
Are you
18th.
trying to see if you released 3 albums in between us?
Since you last May 18th was your first one of 2019. Our first one was March 20th, 2019. So yeah, we have made 3 albums in the time that it took for you to make another one. And I mean, I'm not gonna guarantee that the next Cheekface album will be up in the spring, but it
No.
is it's more than 50% written. So I mean, look, I'm not saying quantity is better than quality, but some may say.
Amy, hey, you tell me. You're the one with uh the college radio charts.
I mean, no, the college radio thing is so tight. It's just
Yeah.
I mean, it was crazy that stations picked up on the last one. But once we saw them picking up on the last one, like when we had done next to nothing, trying to like prepare them for it, we were like holy shit, like maybe this one will go to number one. And it's currently at number two. So
And if
we may
not this one, the
die.
next one.
We may die behind Soccer Mommy. I love Soccer Mommy, so you know
Oh yeah.
if and that album is a great album. So I wouldn't be mad, but I would be slightly mad because I'm incredibly petty. And so yeah, if you have a college radio show, if you could just play Noodles 10 times
On
in your
repeat.
next show, and then please make sure you report it to the charts as well. That would be great. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah. And me too. Also, as someone who had a radio show in college, that's how Jonas and I learned about Casio Dad, which was Jay's solo project before us, because somebody played it on our college radio station.
Oh
So
shit. There's I didn't even know there was a solo J wormhole to go down. Is that stuff still out there?
yeah, yes, it is. We actually just got their previous EP back up on streaming. So it's Casio
Oh,
Dad.
oh shit. Wait, Jay, don't listen to this. Is it fire or no?
Oh my god, yeah. Yes. We we moved out to California and we're like Jonas and I were just like in contact with Jay, like hoping and like pleading in the back of our heads, like please need band members, please need band members. We
Damn.
like we
Yes.
listened to their EP the whole trip out so that we could like internalize the songs. So if they were like, oh hey, you want to jam together, we could be like, oh yeah, I mean like you want to play any of your songs, like we know them. Like
Uh, damn. Okay, I'm about to go down the Casio dad hole. It's just this one project, this one EP.
well, there's Casio Dad, and Jay also releases like music under Classic J, which is like another. But that stuff, all the Classic J stuff came out after Glass Beach, like after the first
Okay,
Glass Beach album. So that's like
okay,
that's
okay.
extra stuff that they're just like doing on their own. They released an ambient album like about a month or two ago.
No, okay, I
So
totally missed that.
yeah, they're doing a ton of stuff. Well, it's easy to miss because like they don't like Jay isn't on social media. So like I take when they do something, I have them write like a little copy for me and then I post it on our socials and it's like keeping up with that is not easy. So,
Yeah.
yeah, but Casio Dad is amazing. Like
Damn.
it blew me away the first time I heard it. So,
Fuck. All right.
cool. Okay, I'm gonna take us out
Now I
now,
know.
Greg. You don't leave because I can say bye to you off stream, but I'm gonna go to a window. Everyone say goodbye to Greg because Greg's about to leave. Bye, Greg.
Bye to Greg.
And now it's me. It's me. Thank you everybody for being here. This is going to be up on the Second Glass Beach channel on YouTube. So if you didn't get a chance to catch the whole thing, or if you came in late or anything like that, then you can definitely see that. Thanks again to Greg. Thanks to Cheekface for releasing the record. I'm a big fan of Cheekface, so this has been wonderful. Everyone is saying bye. And I have some other ones that are going to be coming up sometime soon. I'm talking to Hey I Love You to come back on. I've been talking to Kara's Walk Home. I've had to reschedule on them like twice because I keep getting booked for music videos. So like, I'm sorry, Kara's Walk Home, but I really want to get them on. And then I was just recently talking to Moth and Nightlife, who are also both going to be doing. We had the Nightlife one, but they had to reschedule for that one too. So, but we will eventually do it. So coming up, we should have Hey I Love You, Moth, Nightlife, and Kara's Walk Home at least. And I'm constantly reaching out to other bands. If you have any that you think would be good for me to check out, doesn't have to be new releases. It can be just like great albums. You know, I've really wanted to get Namdi on for a long time. I want to get Bartiz on as well. Bartiz Strange, both of them. Like I love their albums. Jeff Rosenstock. Like I said, it doesn't have to be a recent release. Just great albums. I want to see if I can get people on to listen to them, and that's really it. But if you have suggestions, you can suggest them at. I have a Twitter for this. It's @_listen_along. I don't have an Instagram or anything, so you would only be able to if you had Twitter. But you can recommend me stuff on Twitter, and I will check it out. And with that, the last thing again is have a good day and have a good rest of your day until I see you all again. I'm gonna maybe I'll let me grab I'll grab a little like thing for the thumbnail. So if I'm like listening to Cheekface, I would be like, great, like that one, or just like a like that, and that should be it. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. And I'll see you the next time I have one of these. Thank you again to Greg. Off I go.